Good afternoon, family. Let us make sure that we're all looking good here and feeling amazing. Microphone is on. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Bonsoir. Bonsoir, family. Think the tripod down was slide. There we go. All right. So, um, welcome to Le Phare. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's get my music together here as we set up for today's live and this week's episode pertaining to the boundaries regarding therapy or family that will guide you into the understanding of why being cautious and careful with who you speak to about your storm in your life or any specific thing that's going on within you or vision that you have within yourself versus going to a therapist who is an unbiased judgment or you know actions that would want to manipulate you, confuse you, control you, or be a major character in your life situation or your life itself in general. And so yes, and you know that I always do my podcast to go along with these things. This week I've had the opportunity of something else that came up, but I did not get a chance to record it. Whew, it's been heavy. It has been heavy this week for me. But again, the one thing I always say to you, when you have a vision, whatever that vision looks like, and it may seem different, but it's only different because it's within you and you haven't seen it before. Hi. You know, you're gonna go through phases and moments where you're gonna feel as though, am I doing the right thing? You know, you're gonna question yourself a lot. Um, but hi, showing up is still very important for yourself. And again, the most important thing I like people to understand too, showing up doesn't mean that all of the time you're going to be putting in serious hard work or work in general. A part of showing up is also you still being energetically in alignment with your vision, with your with the new vibration of self, the choice that you have already chosen, that you want to be a better version of yourself or go after your dreams, etc., etc. And therapy and this whole situation all aligns with it. Everything that I talk about, whether it's in small chunks here and there or whatever you think might not be on a specific topic, everything aligns right back to you choosing yourself. Choosing yourself has a big picture to do with the fact that we're not alone in this realm. We are surrounded by family, friends, and society. And so their faces, judgment, and etc., and also the training that we have already been used to and seen as or is also a major factor in, you know, you choosing yourself, because you're going to have to decide, what am I going to continue to accept, allow, participate in, etc., and how am I going to start shifting in certain ways that is going to help me align already with the version of myself that I am accepting, calling in, etc. And so that's where boundaries for this aspect of therapy, going to using therapy versus family and friends. And the reasons why I say this too is because we have to also understand, sorry, yeah, I was gonna put on my jazz music because I have loving the session of doing my lives with this sort of music in the background and everything is off my computer. But anyways, for me, and I think the reasons why I've come again time and time to this topic is because true, I have learned the later half of my path in my life that maybe I should have been a licensed therapist. People have said this to me, and not that I cannot do it, it's just that, you know, I've always seen and understood the stigma that we human beings have attached to a therapist, going to a therapist, and also from the beginning of time of what that started. And I say, honestly, I say we're all crazy. And I mean it in however you want to take it negative, that's up to you. But I mean it in the context of the presence of being here, first and foremost. Secondly, as I said, we are surrounded by so many different individuals, walks of life, financial, educational, religious backgrounds, right? And lastly, the vision or that creativity within each and every single one of us. Some of us, it is so visible that, I mean, cell phone, light, the electricity, light bulbs, all those things. And then some people, you may think you may not have a creative bone in your body, but that's actually a lie. It honestly is. It's just that the way that we are now, it is so simple and easy to see that, you know, you may be someone who can read, pick up anything and read and understand very quickly and easily, or you're a brisk reader, you can read through a book very fast, or your cooking styles, you know what I mean, it is really on point. So sometimes you thinking that you don't have a creative bone in your body, it's just because you're looking at it in the context of what is shown outside of us, that, you know, it's either you can create digital products, you could write a book, you know, start a business, stuff like that. So it's honestly and truly something you have to understand that is not true. And so that's why I say therapy in that context versus a family member. Again, they're going to criticize you because of their own insecurities within themselves, their own jealousies within themselves, and also that fear of you not hurting yourself by going after your dreams that is different, you know, because you're going to stand out, those kinds of things. And when it comes especially to certain storms of relationship, partner wise, and situations of that nature, that one I always say it's very important to be careful of who you're going to and talking with, to let off that stress, that emotion that is within you. Because again, family wants to protect you, yes, but sometimes it is also a control there, and then they want to take a part of your life. So and then when it comes to best friends, that's also another tricky thing. But again, and the reasons I say this too is you all know what you want. Again, you just lack the courage to go after it. And sometimes this is where I say a therapist is very good, because yes, even if you have a family member that is just going to listen to your storm, finding a solution, you know, they won't have that ability to guide you through that. Why am I losing light in some strange way? Hi guys, hi, I see a few people on. So that's not with that therapy situation. Again, it's all about helping you find a tool. So last week, you know, someone asked me a question about writing down, and I always say this, but I know people don't like it, but it has significant value. And it's the same thing a therapist is going to do. She's just going to write down, or he, the things that you're talking about, the pointers that is important to you. And that is where writing things down is, you're also then looking for specific pointers of what it is exactly it is you want from a situation, from an emotion that is coming up within you. This is exactly, and this is why it is for me coming on and doing these things took me a while to be able to intellectually communicate with you, got with everyone pertaining to my perspective and the best advice, or just sharing who I am, is because I had to think about how I do it. And the thing that I do, again, I know what I want. A situation comes up, I pay attention, I start asking myself questions. Why did that emotion, why did these words hit me the way that it did? You know what I mean? It may seem as though I am, and it's not judging yourself or breaking yourself down, it's simply asking yourself questions. What is going on? Why is this there? Why is this coming up? So that you can understand where you want to be loved and how, and what does that really mean. So that's what I do. I ask myself questions. So I don't write it down in the context of in that sense. Sometimes I just, when it's really heavy things going on and I'm doing my normal things to get it out of me, I will pick up my journal and just write. Just get whatever I'm feeling out of me out. But I've already understood though what I want from the situation, from moving forward. And then the moment I know what I want, I let go of what I don't want. And then I allow the universe, if I don't have an idea what's the next step, I allow the universe to guide me. Sometimes I might have an idea, it might just be one step. And for me, one step is better than, you know what I mean, none. But also, if I don't have none, I know who I am, what I am, that I will get to that space simply because I've taken the time to really and truly ask myself, pay attention, look in the mirror, even the dark parts of me. I mean, I've questioned even what should I say? Have I been jealous? Yeah, I guess I have. So I've questioned that as well. But I understood the moment that I questioned that, and the moment that I felt that, what that meant. I too wanted to be in that position that I can too, let's say it's financial, whatever. I too want to be in that position where I can financially be taking care of myself. And I think I can actually say the one time I felt something similar to that is when I had already had an idea for a book. Hi. I already had an idea for a book. And I saw someone close that made it happen. But the moment I felt that feeling, it switched very quickly because I then turned it into a gratitude. Why? Because I was around them to see the process. So it's like I didn't put it in that place of it being something negative, if you understand what I mean. And even if I saw it for what it is very quickly, because I knew why and I knew what I wanted. So I was able to switch that quickly because it put me in that position. Julia, you know who you are, and when you have an idea and you don't know how to go on for it or go about it, here you are, smack dab in the middle of a process. Take it in. So take it in, ask questions, do what you need to do, but take it in. Because, and this is where I have always understood, a lot of the times the universe puts me in places where it is not fully there yet in me, but it is. And then 20 or 6 months later or a year, then it comes up, oh my gosh, you had that, you have this in you, you like doing things like this, and you've experienced it now before now you can take that leap. So again, it's always that understanding that everything is for a reason, and it's just to help you find yourself. And so boundaries is exactly that. And again, I will say this for everybody to understand, please, please, please. And why it is I say this is because I want you to understand our world is vast of so many human beings with their own mindsets and their own point of views. So many people will agree to disagree with you. When you can understand that, you will understand boundaries is always your top priority, and it's yours to uphold within yourself, because there will be people who will not respect it and accept it, and then there are those who will. So that's that. So I don't want to talk too much about boundaries because we talked about therapy last session. So, but I just wanted to touch on this a little bit because my podcast, I try to give other boundaries aspects of the courtroom. And this is, for me, is also important because many of you, and I've experienced this when I was younger, and I still don't do it from then till now. I do not argue. I don't raise my voice. If there's something or a situation or something someone's doing or saying that I don't like, I communicate. I don't care if they receive that communication of me setting my boundaries and they start to raise their voice. I literally make it clear to them without raising my voice that that's not who I am. And that is not by me then saying words. It's literally me stepping back and just be like, showing them, hey, I'm communicating with you here. I see as though that you're not in that emotional mindset to do the same, because you're raising your voice, firstly. Secondly, you're not respecting what I want. So I step back. I even go to the point where I literally just leave. I am not partaking in those kind of courtroom, those kind of an emotional baggage environment with individuals who are accustomed to that, want that, and also just want to disrespect my boundaries. So this is something very, very important. And again, this happened when I was younger. One family member, and this is where I'm talking about family member situation, they tried to get involved in something that was going on with me and someone else. I let the two of them have it out, and I sat there like a quiet pigeon, just letting them. Things escalated, and I still didn't budge. I still didn't say anything. I still didn't raise my voice. Nothing of that nature. And again, I still do the same today. I'm not partaking in that. I am communicating. You upset you that I'm saying my boundaries, standing my place. That's okay. But confrontation, I have no problem to get involved into. So, yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to do the podcast for Thursday, and I couldn't make it happen. I've never said this out loud, except on Instagram. Someone posted about this topic, and I commented, and it was the first. That to me is the first time I actually put it out there. So, but this is going to be the actual first time verbally mentioning it and saying it. My last name. My name is Julia Janelle Belgraves. And I honestly and truly did not feel that I should carry that last name. It didn't. It meant. It was just my last name. I've used it. I accepted it, but it didn't feel as though it was something that I should own. And how should I own it? According to my situation. Again, I've been put out on the street when I was 20 by my father. The relationship with my dad and myself and my siblings from early, bleak. And I remember one particular afternoon, I was having some issues with my eyesight in Germany. 2023. 2023, I was having some issues with my eyesight, and I went to see another doctor that was prescribed to me by my doctor. And I was in a waiting room, and she called Julia Janelle Belgraves. And it was the first time a German person spoke all three, even my last name, in exact perfect English like that. And I felt different. And since after that, I've realized that the person that I felt before, when I was younger, pertaining to my last name, she no longer cares, last name or not. It has no true meaning to the identity of myself, who I've carved out as my how do you say, personal existence of who I am. So even if I get married whenever, whatever, that still means to me not much versus the identity of who I am. I've already carved out the person that I am by my actions, my ability to see, to grow, those kinds of things. And it was quite interesting that this topic came up again now. That's my mother. To put it out there. I don't know if maybe someone else may be thinking this way or feeling this way, but it was very, very strange. I mean, I went to the point to where I once thought of changing my last name. I had no idea what last name to give myself, but I was at that context. I was already at that space. And again, I am someone, I forgive people for what they do, simply because I'm not holding on to people and their emotional, toxic baggage. Yes, you did something to me. I'm going to learn my lesson from it. I'm going to understand that you are not someone I want in my life. But at the same time, I know that, I'm not going to put myself around that kind of environment because I understand that. And so with that being said, my last name, I mean, I've had so many questions pertaining to my last name because it's actually Belgrave. And my dad put S on there for just myself and my siblings. Hi, Alex. My dad put S on our name, so it's just myself, my dad, and my sisters and my mom, because she was married to him, that has the S. Everyone else has the Belgrave. And yes, there's Belgrave in London as well. So I kind of just went with the name after that for years until this specific thing happened. Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you. Yeah, so I honestly and truly, and I know the reasons why things like these comes up is because we have faced certain parts of ourselves that was supposed to be faced. We've healed family lineage of toxicity, lack, all those sorts of stuff, and then we start to move on. And again, I'm someone I don't like to hold on to things, because as I said, holding on to negativity, to pain, to anger, frustration, someone did something to you 15 years ago, it's going to turn into some kind of ailment in some part of your body, and you don't need that. So and I am speaking on this because I know a lot of people that say the same thing. Why would you forgive someone if they did something like that to you? I said forgive what they did, don't forget it. Forgetting it is not something you're supposed to do, because it's something you're supposed to teach yourself on how people think and see, so that you don't put yourself in a position like that again. Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you. But you forgive because you're not carrying that person anymore, and you're not carrying the weight of that situation anymore. The situation, the experience, however heavy it is, it is. I'm not saying that it isn't, but it's to teach you how to build strength, how to build boundaries, and how to start to recognize traits from specific individuals, so that you cannot and will not put yourself in that position again. As simple as that. And literally, many of you guys do not understand, when you become an observer, you can see someone of the same kind of a mindset who will do the same thing right in front of your face. And it also aligns with your intuition, allowing yourself to be open to see the 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 messages, the mindsets, the traits, the behaviors of the person, and what it's doing and what it's telling you. This is why I say you have to question yourself. You have to question what you're feeling, what you're sensing. Literally. You have to. That is how you're going to learn not to go into a wolf's cave and not know, okay, I'm getting this tingling feeling in my gut that this is probably not the rightest thing to do, or I have to go in there and something is telling me to get a machete. You know what I mean? To roll my sleeves up, have my senses open to something, anything. This is what this is about. And again, I have had to do the same thing. I've had two young ladies when I was, I think, 22, come and just ask me about a certain situation with guys in college. And I literally was like surprised that I, of all people, you know, and I gave them the best information, intuitive message that I received at that moment that they definitely needed. You don't put your, especially for women, in frats parties and stuff like that, you don't put yourself in a position where you cannot get yourself out and a guy rapes, takes advantage of you, etc. And this is exactly what happens to quite a lot of women. Yeah. So I want to also extend my age. I am 46. It's easy to say today because I was asked that question a few days ago, and I still always have to think about answering that. When I turned 16, no one believed me, and since then, it has been the most interesting journey of my life, that whenever someone asks me my age, or whenever I'm celebrating my birthday and someone knows, they do not believe the age that I am, and even becoming a mother. But anyways, I want to also extend my presence here also to let you guys understand I'm not just sharing for women alone. This is also for men. And someone asked me this again, which is amazing, and I thank you so much. I have always been speaking to both sexes. It's just that we live in a world that men, y'all took the reins, y'all took the privilege, and did what you did. So women had to eventually carve their way. We got into that space now where we are, and we are actually more open. We are actually more receiving to the universe, and we trust our intuition, we trust our emotions. Whereas men, yes, 46, men, you have had the biggest burden ever. You've been asked always to put your emotions on the back burner, to not even let it out, not even accept it. So, and I can honestly say therapy, I would strongly advise men, as of all people, to go to therapy, just simply for that first one, from your grandfather, great grandfather, to your father, then to you, that this was trained in you, that you have to show up, you have to be present, the breadwinner, which is great and everything, because you know you're capable of that. But at the same time, you do have emotions, and you're supposed to be able to address it, acknowledge it, and let it out. It's just about finding the safe space to do that. Yeah. So go to therapy. I know it's gonna help many of you with that. Um, so yes, what else can I talk about today? I guess today feels a bit different, guys. Again, I had these last few days, and I don't want to be talking about my health so much, but it's a factor. Health is wealth. Honestly and truly, health is wealth. As much as I show up, as often as I do, and I've said this, I show up when I can. I'm not gonna stress myself and work myself into a space where I'm not going to be able to say continue to enjoy doing what I'm doing and show up the way that I want. I have to listen to my health. It's very, very important. And so yes, that podcast is going to come out next week about um, about my surname, and it's going to be interesting because now it's going to live for everyone else to hear, including those people who, you know, carry the same surname of mine. But I think these people already understand that I'm very much different and don't care. So who would like to answer a question? I gave you guys two. I'm not gonna write it out, I'm just gonna speak it out. Have you ever had that feeling that your first name or your last name is not a true representation or identity that you want to have onto yourself, because it is an extension from, you know, you could be Timothy Jr. Why Timothy? Anyways, Timothy Jr. because your dad was Timothy, or, you know, or your last name, you've had an abusive partner or father, and that trauma has made you, you know, not want that last name. Have you ever thought you would have wanted to change your last name? Have you done it? Or have you ever felt disgrace, disgust of having that first name or last name? Who's felt that before? That's question one. And two now is going to be for my men. I know that society, again, as I said, and has painted this picture that you're supposed to be strong, not show your emotions, and etc. Have you ever come into a space where you really and truly had an emotion come up in you, and you really wanted to let it out, speak to someone, you know, share, and you really and truly didn't, because you know what that would make you seem as though you're weak and etc. Has anyone felt like that? Has that ever come up in you? Milkman 515. Interesting. Thank you, Milkman. No one. Oh, no one. All right. I guess. Okay. No one. Well, thank you so much, Dan, for just being here, guys. Um, Again, I've already answered both of those questions. You're in awe. I've already answered those questions, and I have had the experience myself. I have always had this better relationship with men than with women throughout my life. That shifted later on though. And I've also, again, have talked to men with and about certain situations and given my best input. Let's put it that way. Input is more like saying advice too. And I know that it has helped because a few of who I've given certain, advice to have come back to me and, told me that it really helped. And again, it's very important for me to let both sexes understand, regardless of masculine or femininity, we both have emotions. We both come into a world where we're asked to shift and change from our true identity, that identity of self. We are both asked to change, to shift, to take on toxicity, mental traits, physical, from our caregivers and our environment. So yes, we're going to come into a position when we get older that we're going to start to want to let go of that, and that is very good and that's very important. And so sometimes you just have to understand it's going to take some time, but you got to still keep choosing yourself. And yes, men have emotions. And it's so funny that I'm saying this shortly before I lost my job and things started to go the way that it went. A girlfriend of mine, we were having coffee one day, and this same topic came up, and she was like, I didn't want to say anything because, I think she said she didn't want to hurt his feelings or something. And I said, yes, you're not going to hurt his feelings, but it's still better that you let him know because he still has emotions, You don't want to just do everything, keep everything bottled up, and or not saying what is to be said because So she was like, yeah, I kind of didn't think about it in that context. I'm like, I literally was like, huh? And this is where I get so, I don't know what is the word. Sometimes I'm confused why both men and women think the way that they think. Guys, you have the same emotions, the same regrets, the same wants. Why would you think that the other person wouldn't feel the same way or think the same way? It's just too understanding what you can ask and what you cannot, what you can show and what you cannot show. Everyone has these things. It's just some people might not have it to the extent that you have because of how they were how they grew up, and their experiences. That doesn't mean that you're soft. That doesn't mean, you know what I mean, those kind of negative things. It just means that they just are not fully wearing it as you are because of what you have gone through, where you have been placed. And this is why I say the things that I say to you all, why it is I'm asking many of you to shift your mindset and your perspective. It's because sometimes the universe puts you in connection of situations and people to also help you to start to let go of things that you carrying from someone else. And a lot of the times that someone else is your parents, your environment, that you have taken on that is not supposed to be yours. And this individual that, you know, is slightly different, stronger, whatever, or sensible, is to give you something that you did not have the opportunity to keep within self anymore. If you understand what I'm saying. You grew up in the 70s and the 80s. Trust me when we have no emotions. Wow. You grew up in the 70s and the 80s and you have no emotions. Great. You have emotions. Again, as I said, you're just, you answered it. You grew up in those areas where 10 years. Well, okay, and see, yeah, see, your environment made you have to just put that away, and it's not existent. But you do. It's just not showing up in a way that is going to ask you to pay attention to certain things that might arise in you, whereas someone else would, you would see as that person being very sensitive, and that person is not. That's what I mean. You know, they didn't have that opportunity to have someone guide them in a specific way to not let that emotion take hold of them in that manner. And that's where connections with certain individuals and situation is a building block to ask that, for that person to ask themselves, why am I feeling this way? And it's just simply to acknowledge themselves so that they can try to come out and become that higher version of self. And the USA, okay, I was born in the 80s. And I do know what you're talking about. That's why I'm talking about it. Um, yeah, you're right. And especially in America, yeah. It's really, especially for men. Yeah, it's a little harder. But not so much too in the Caribbean. Trust me. The Caribbean is, it's a little worse. They're really hard. Remember, because we started off, we were colonized, plantations, you know how you work, you couldn't be too sensitive, you, and I'm not going to touch on that other topic. I'm not going to say it. So I do understand what you're saying. The lives is in a happy person. Yes, I am a happy, oh, thank you so much. I am a happy person, and I posted this I posted the most funniest thing on TikTok, a bunch of pictures, and I wrote, how many ways can Le Frère Julia Belgraves smile? And this is something quite a few people have put to my attention, that okay, I'm going to explain. So the year that I was being put into the situation where my ex was not accepting that I was finally leaving him, all the things he was doing, I had two neighbors, which was friends of my daughter's friends, and they lived, one was like one house away and the other one was about 4 houses away. And again, I spoke German. I will speak on this in a second. Milkman. And but when it comes to court stuff, the you know, the lingo of that is a little bit different. So I would ask them to help me read some of the things and stuff like that. And I remember one day I was going out, and one of the moms, because she really saw what I was going through, she put me up 2 nights in her home in the basement. We're gonna leave it at that. She put me up. And I was walking, and she was like, "Hi, Julia. Hi. How are you today?" I'm like, "I'm good. I'm good." And I'm just, smiling and, moving like life is wonderful. And she goes, um, "But Julia, you look as though nothing is going on. You look so beautiful as usual and happy and da da dee and that." And then I looked at her and I'm like, "What am I supposed to look like? It's not my fault that he's taking it the way he's taking it and doing the things that he's doing. I know who I am. I've already expressed who I am verbally and, you know, um, action wise. I'm not a bad person. I'm not going to take his daughter away from him. You know what I mean? Why am I going to give them the satisfaction to think that what they're doing is making me unhappy to be me and to want to leave?" And she just looked at me after that. And I have to be honest with you, since I moved to that neighborhood I was living in, every one of these moms and them, people would always look at me differently. I remember once I went to pick up my daughter in her school. The bus driver, one of the bus drivers, like, "You must be so and so mother." I'm like, "Yes." And I found that weird how he looked at me and he asked me that question, because I'm expecting something else. He didn't say anything else after that. And so then I said to him, "Okay, why you ask?" I mean, everyone loves my kid too. So then he goes, "You're not like all the other mothers." And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? And I'm like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "You don't hold her hand." I'm like, "No, I'm not supposed to hold her hand forever. I'm supposed to, be there a little bit here and there. But I'm supposed to trust her and also allow her to trust her judgment, trust her intuition, trust, of course I'm going to tell her when no is no, what does that mean, etc. But she still has to try to learn who she is from now so that she can build a stronger relationship with self and stronger boundaries with herself for others as well." And he looked at me and said, I'm sorry that came up there. But yes, and again, many other people have said this to me too, that I don't look like I'm going through what I'm going through, not seeing my daughter, not having a relationship with her, and all the things that he has been doing and has done. I'm like, dude, I'm living this life for me. This is not a satisfaction or a life for other people. It's for me. Why am I going to look unhappy, stressed, whatever? And this is also why I posted too about self-care. I am a serious self-care, self-love woman. Always have and always will. I love myself too goddamn much to not take care of myself and be there for myself. I'm sorry. So let me answer this question here from Milkman. Where was it? In the USA, my parents used to say, "Stop your crying or I'll give you something to cry about." And trust me, that, dude, I know that so well. My mom, the Trini parents, the generation before and the after that and before that and before that, they beat. I did not get much licks or beatings because, again, the moment I see what someone doesn't like, and I have a thing. I have a thing in me. I have a thing in me. I don't like bullies. I don't like to be beaten. I don't like to be, you know. But I understood my mom and her generation and the generation before that. That's how they were raised and etc. So you just have to hold your tongue a little and stuff like that. So I totally understand what you're saying. I am from Russia. Life is more worse than USA. And this is what I understand too. I mean, Germany too. The men in Germany also have had a hard time on, what is emotions to show and not to show. So this is all over the world. My accent, My accent is a mixture. Because I was born here, we were British colonizated, so I, learned British English. Then I went to school in America, but it still stayed British English. Everyone loved it. I was always someone that traveled. I love traveling. And then living in Munich, Germany for 15 years and still traveling the world, I'm someone that I like, as you can see, people talk to me. People talk to me. And so because of that, from all different walks of life, I'm someone that I like to articulate and I like to speak so that someone can understand. I don't use big words. That's not necessary. I touch your soul. I touch you. I allow you to see yourself. So the way that I speak, I still am able to have people understand and comprehend what I'm saying. So it's my accent is very, very mixed. I don't even know what to say it is. Yes, war will never, once you want change, once you want different, once you're bold enough and courageous enough to stand up for something, for anything, war will, it will evolve in many ways, but yeah, so it is what it is. As human beings, it is what it is. Yes, of course. And don't get this twisted. Not because I'm a loving person and a kind person. I know my dark side, and this is the reasons why I'm able to be in this position. Again, I've had situations where the dark side of me came out, and for a little woman, the dark side, I've seen, it wasn't pretty. But I noticed it, and then I started to just pay attention and ask myself questions, and I've made it very clear that I accept my dark side, but I've made it clear as to what I'm gonna allow to only bring it out for, and how far. So again, especially as a woman, you don't want to get yourself in a dark alley by accident and not know what to do. So I don't put myself in that position. You understand what I'm saying? But I know myself. I know how far, if someone does something, and it really truly has to be something that I choose to say, okay, no, enough is enough, to where I'm gonna go with that. Am I gonna get verbal? Am I gonna get violent? That sort of stuff. So yeah. Just no emotions. I understand. I mean, technically, you think you don't have emotions, but you do. It's just not on a certain level anymore. But I understand what you're saying. I do understand. I do understand what you're saying. But you do have emotions. Trust me, you do have emotions. But yes, and again, I go take it back to my mom, even my grandmother. My cousin was just talking about this the other day, that my second youngest sister got a serious beating from my grandmother once. And again, I didn't like those things. So if someone says get up and do what they want you to do, I got up and I did it. And that, I think that will take me really and truly back to where and why it is I understood I have a darkness in me. You if you're someone that you see wrong, even though they're an adult, you still know, let's say that something that they say to do or their actions was still not really right. As a kid, we couldn't say that. Our generation could not say that. So even if you were to try to, you would get out. And I didn't like that. That was something that I realized I had in me. I have a thing that I get with wrongdoings and those sort of stuff. So I had to learn that, and that's how I understood to be able to say, okay, what am I going to do and how am I gonna not going to do certain things. And so my daughter, a prime example, my daughter, she didn't disrespect me, but she had the courage to speak her mind, to say, to stand up and say, but mom, you're wrong, this and this and this. And she could explain herself, and then I could be like, oh, okay, all right. Whereas again, my mom and my grandmother, you couldn't do that. Like, even if the adults in the room and a kid or two was there and they overheard a conversation, and you want to give an opinion, because you have opinions, you couldn't do that. You could not do that. And it's probably why it is my sisters and I were the same, because I was the one that, when our dad and our stepmom was hiding food from us and all these things, I was the one having the putting us to sit down and talk to them, like, okay, this is what's going on. We got to go shopping for ourselves. We need to start to be a bit aware of what we're eating, how we're eating, so that we can control what we're buying and how we're buying it. I had them in, you know what I mean? So that they can also give their input, their own inner wisdom. And this is where kids lie. Kids have wisdom because they come here without those fears and those judgments and those etc. So they have truth that they can share with us. But because adults, again, certain generations were taught that they know better and etc., they won't let kids say anything. So my daughter was able to share. She was able to open up. I don't. Thank you. Yes, I don't. I mean, again, my situation was not planned. Let's put it that way. And I don't have a relationship with her anymore. But for years, she had a ball game with my age and what people thought I looked like. And again, this has been happening to me since I'm 16. I remember too, in America, going to the movies and to the disco with my third youngest sister. I would give her one of my ID cards. And guess what? They would card her. I mean, they wouldn't card her, but they would ask me. The one time this happened, no, twice. It was the most funniest thing. Once was a disco, and the second time was a R-rated movie. I'm not sure if she felt bad, but the lady was like, "Are you old enough to be watching this?" And we both looked at each other and started to laugh. She's like, "Do you know how old she is?" She was already at the age now, right? She had her own card. But again, it has never stopped. And so my daughter has gone through her life with that same situation. Everyone always thinking I'm either her big sister. So at first I was thought to be her nanny, but as she started to get older, she starts to resemble me. Then people assume I'm the biggest sister. I remember one woman asked me, "So where's your mom?" I'm like, I swung around like, I looked at her and I said, "I'm sorry, but I'm actually the mother." She's like, "No, you're the mother. You look like a kid." So yes. You put down your dog? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear this. What happened? Why did you put down your dog? Was he ill? Hi guys, I am reading now. Someone is having a conversation with me, which is nice. Building a relationship with you all. And understand that I'm so sorry, but I am still hung up on the fact that I'm getting some darkness going on over here on my screen. And it's time for me to go, guys. It takes long for these lives to download here on YouTube when I do an hour. So here's what, maybe, I don't know, if you guys want me to start to do another live where I'm just chit-chatting with you all, let me know. Send me in a comment somewhere. And because I do this I do this also on TikTok. I go on my regular days, and then I go on another day or two and just chit chat. And I'm going to be doing that on Saturday. He was 14 years old, I think. Okay. So yeah, he was of age of already 14. Wow. 14, wow. But I'm so sorry. I know how that is. I know a lot of people with pets, and I know what it is when you have to put them down. So, are you gonna get another one? Thank you so much, Alex. I am. Take your time. Take your time to grieve him. Yes, take your time to grieve him, and then see what happens from there. But I do understand what you're saying. But anyways, guys, I gotta go. Again, tomorrow is Saturday. I have a 30 minutes live in the morning, my time, 10 a.m. on Facebook, and then I come on TikTok at around this time, 2 till this time, and I do just whatever live on TikTok. I wanted to show you guys some of the stuff that I've been doing, because I'm an artist, and I'm just gonna show you one. This is something I did a long time ago. I brought it from my mom, and she has it in the house here. But I've shown you guys a few of the other things that I've done before. Sometimes with words, and sometimes just drawing. This is but just some of the things that I do. So come check me out. So yes, come check me out. Thank you. Tomorrow, if you want me to come on here and just do a hangout with you all, chit chat, let me know. We can maybe have another day of that. On YouTube, again, Fridays is the only day I do lives here. Other than that, I have twice a month I do it's called a love letter to self vlog. Instead of writing on paper, again, I do these things for myself. I turned it into a vlog just so that I can keep showing up and keep building my brand and building, my presence here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Milkman. Thank you. I really hope that, you're able to, come back to that space within yourself where life has meaning again for you. Yeah. What was I saying? So yes, so being here on YouTube, and again being on social media, I post 5 times a week, but it's pretty much everywhere. I have to just show up a little bit. I'm not doing much more than that. I don't have the energy truly, because I'm taking care of my health. Secondly, the technology situation, I'm little limited. I do a lot of the stuff on my cell phone. So sometimes editing and stuff like that really takes time. My phone dies really quick. I've already put out to the universe for a new laptop so that I can that can help with that more as well. So I try to come on five, yeah, almost 5 to 6 times you know, a day, but it's everywhere. So I have two Instagram accounts. Julia Belgraves, that's my model page. Light and Love Within is an extension from that for here, for talks like this, for my art sharing, those sorts of stuff. Facebook, TikTok, here, and Substack, and I just started a Snapchat account that still hasn't really gotten much love, but it's still showing myself. So that's what I can say right now. I'm building, growing, loving, and enjoying my life and all that I'm doing. And this is where, for me, I know what is the end result, but I'm that person that understand the real, how do you say, kick your shoes back and enjoy is not at the finish line. This is the real process. This is where the gold nugget is. The process, the learning, the evolving, the understanding, the asking the universe to teach you this, to open this, to, you know what I mean, those kinds of stuff. So that's who I am, and that's where I'm at. I've always known what I wanted, honestly. And so I'm just grateful that I'm in that space now where things are actually starting to move. I've created coloring books, ebooks, stories and stuff like that, and I tried to put them out of 2 or 3 years ago, and it just wasn't moving. Nothing was happening. So now things are slowly, but it's happening, and just have to say I'm grateful for that. And I'm just enjoying it because I'm getting to teach myself more and more of this whole process and come back to my inner child self. I realize a lot of the things that I'm doing, I did this as a child, when I mean, you know, as a kid when I was younger. And then me wanting to be a doctor, a surgeon. I wanted to be a surgeon. I did not think about being a what should I say? I don't know, an artist or anything like that. I was already doing art too when I was younger, but it was more architectural stuff. I love drawing lines, buildings. So I was already doing that from young. I was already writing from young. And modeling as well. My mom told me I know the dancing, but I didn't know I was modeling too when I was younger. So it's all, you know, part of a full circle, so to say. Modeling at the moment though, I don't, my agents and everything is in Europe, and when I told them I had to leave, that was that. So yeah. All right. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Really? Man, you should not have let them coerce you into thinking that you shouldn't be there. Come on. Accept the word. Let the idiots and them be. You know what I mean? But yeah, I come on here. So again, on my community tab here on YouTube, or leave a comment under this if you guys want me to pick another day to come on here and we just chit chat. Again, why it is I say this is because your timeline versus mine is different. So I need to coordinate, I'm sorry, this as best as possible. And for me, the European time is really great because I've been that for a good number of years, you know. So yeah, just, you know, let me know. But I'm here. I'm doing my thing. I'm popping in. Substack is a place too where I kind of like am a lot because it's more writing, and I love doing the lives. I used to do it too on Instagram, but I don't have enough followers, so they block that. So I enjoy, that's why my TikTok account has grown so much, because I'm able to do that freely there. YouTube it was easy to, because of what I share. I'm not sharing. I like, for me, the way that I am, I want people to start to see themselves. I want you to start loving yourself. And as you said here, you didn't go on to continue onto TikTok because of what people were saying. Dude, do you think I would have let people stop me from being on there for what they call me and think of me? You're mad. You're mad. So don't do that. Let people have their judgment. Let people have their thing, their in a whatever. You be you and show up as that. That's what I'm about. That's why I know I was able to do this on YouTube, because of what I am, what I share, what I'm for. Simple as that. So yeah, Wednesdays live on TikTok around 2 p.m. my time, AST time. I do it for an hour, maybe a little longer, depending on how I'm feeling. Fridays is here. Saturday morning it's on Facebook, and then I go straight into TikTok sometimes, because every weekend it's a little bit, but I'm doing it this weekend again as I did last weekend, and I let everyone know. Other than that, that's it. All right, so I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Sunday is my love letter to self vlog drop. And again, it is nothing grandiose, it's just me showing up, loving myself. I do have an idea of what I want my love letter vlogs to look like, but the technology, the tools and stuff like that, I'm using what I have, the time and the editing skills that I have. But I appreciate you guys following. I appreciate you guys liking. I appreciate my community growing here on TikTok. I really, 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 truly do. And I know so many of you guys been following me for some time. You know the story from the beginning. And to the new ones, thank you for being here. Thank you for following. Thank you for seeing yourself. Thank you for choosing yourself. Thank you, Milkman 515, for sharing that with me. But I want you to stop allowing anyone to make you not show up regardless of what they want to think you are. Let them, you do you. So maybe you can go back and get your TikTok account and be you, and whoever has some negative thing to say, let it go through here and out the other. Okay? All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy. Your day is done. I know. US, Russia, your day is done, but have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week or maybe tomorrow on TikTok. Bye.